Hi everyone, I'll present a work on users' perception and expectation of deniability. This is a joint work between Brigham University and KU Leuven. So deniability means if the recipient of a message tries to prove to others, the sender can deny sending it, claiming that the recipient might have forged it. It can be achieved by using MAC instead of signatures. It was first proposed by OTR in 2004, later on Signal adopted it, and now it's part of WhatsApp in 2016. So in theory, we have solved deniability. We have provided deniability to billions of users, right? However, in practice, it needs social and legal acceptance. Social acceptance means that a sender is aware that they can deny sending a message, and a third party, people in the society, should be willing to accept that deniability claim. In legal acceptance, the court should be willing to accept deniability claim of a sender. The lack of social and legal acceptance not only makes deniability ineffective, but can even harm users. Three components that needs to work together to make deniability useful and harmless is whether the application provides deniability, whether it's accepted in society, and whether it's accepted in legal scenarios. Users are safe if all these three components intersect or in the white space where none of them exist. For example, in harm 1, if the application provides deniability, but users are unaware of deniability and are unaware that the application provides the ability to forge messages, an attacker can forge a message and use that to execute social engineering attacks. Most of the people will trust these messages because they are unaware of deniability. So to find out where do we currently exist in this diagram, we measured social and legal acceptance of deniability. We first performed semi-structured interviews for qualitative analysis. For quantitative analysis, we conducted a survey on Prolific with US participants. We analyzed the social acceptance from 3 different perspectives: sender's perspective, recipient's perspective, and a third-party perspective to whom the claim is made to. So due to limited time constraint, I'll only talk about third-party perspective. We present participants with a scenario where Alice comes to them and claims that Bob said mean things about them. And then we ask participant, how much do they claim Alice claim in this scenario? We varied 3 factors in this scenario. The first 2 are how close the participant is to Alice. It can be a close friend, acquaintance, or an untrustworthy person. The third factor is how Alice makes her claim to participant. It can be just an oral claim without any proof. It can be a screenshot, or it can be messages within the app. We wanted to see how these factors affect participants' trust on Alice's claim. So 2 interesting results that we found were, first, participants trusted messages and screenshots significantly more than oral claim, independent of any relationship, which shows that we are still significantly far from achieving our initial goal of deniability similar to oral communication. Second, the participants' increase in trust score from oral to screenshots or messages is significantly higher when the Alice is untrustworthy as compared to when she is a close friend, which is concerning because bad actors are usually untrustworthy and can exploit this high increase in trust score to execute social engineering attacks. One of the participants mentioned, even if friend A had a history of making stuff up or not being the most trustworthy, she's showing me the text on her phone what friend B said. Then I'd be like, okay, this is legitimate. One question we had was, why do people trust screenshots or messages significantly more than oral claim? Do they think it's hard to forge it? We asked participants how difficult they think it's to forge a message or a screenshot. Surprisingly, most of the participants think it's not that difficult to force a message or a screenshot, which leaves us with open question, why do they still trust messages and screenshots significantly more than oral claim? For legal analysis, we worked with a law student who helped us get transcripts for court cases, and then we ran some queries to only retrieve those court cases where WhatsApp chat was mentioned as evidence. And then we performed quantitative and qualitative analysis on those court cases. In this talk, I'll only cover quantitative analysis. So we took those 228 court cases and distributed them into 3 categories, where WhatsApp chat was used as major evidence, where WhatsApp chat was used as minor evidence, or where it was rejected as an evidence due to deniability or maybe some other reason. In our analysis, in none of the court cases, WhatsApp chat was rejected as an evidence, even if the defendant claimed that they never sent the message. Instead, WhatsApp chat was used as major evidence in more than 30% of court cases. So going back to the same diagram where we started, our analysis shows that there is no social and legal acceptance of deniability, leaving us in harm 1 territory as of now. So next we study, let's say now we want to aware users of deniability. How we can do that? Is the current deniability definition enough to convey its meaning to user? In our interviews, we present participants with OTR's deniability definition, and then ask them about their understanding of this definition. We consolidated their understanding into these 7 statements. You can see our paper for details, but one thing I want to point out is only 2 statements out of these 7 are correct. The rest of them either gives a false sense of security or a bad reputation for the application. So for a large-scale validation, in our survey, we presented the same definition to participants and a list of these sentences, and then asked them what they think, which of them are true or false. Less than 1% of participants correctly understood the definition. Some participants even thought that the definition is self-contradictory. One of the participants said that none of it makes sense. So one interesting question that's left is, what do users really want? Do they really want deniability? We explain them non-repudiation, deniability, and anonymity, and then ask them what property they want for their internet communication. Most of the participants wanted non-repudiation for at least some of their internet communication. But there was a significant number of people who also wanted deniability. One of the participants who chose non-repudiation mentioned that I feel like a lot of where this country is, it's partially because of lack of any control and any fact-checking online. So I would go with repudiation to help combat this problem. So the bad reputation of deniability could be one of the reasons for its relatively low demand. So there was a significant number of participants who wanted a combination of these 3 properties. So we asked them what combination do they want for their communication. 3 combinations that came out on top were application-based. They wanted different properties for different application. Message-based, they wanted different property for each message independent of application. And person-based, they wanted different properties for different contexts they are talking to. Time-based deniability, which has been discussed to be provided in emails, was not as preferred as we expected. Therefore, more in-depth research is needed to see if time-based deniability is even valuable to users or not. To understand users' need, we indirectly asked participants to give an example where they needed to prove to someone else or where they needed to deny something from the society or legal scenarios. Non-repudiation scenario was important, and asked them like how important was this scenario for them. Non-repudiation scenario was important for more than 90% of participants, which raises the question whether deniability should be the default properties in these messaging apps. However, there were a significant number of people for whom deniability scenario was also important. We believe we should aim to get a combination of these properties to satisfy different needs. So in conclusion, if our goal is to provide deniability to vulnerable groups, we are not there yet. Deniability is not socially accepted, not legally accepted. Because of lack of awareness, users are vulnerable to social engineering attacks. And some people may not want or need deniability. This raises the question whether it should be the default property, and further research is needed to decide what combination of these properties can be provided and how we can provide it. As of now, deniability has a bad reputation. We should think about how we can convey its meaning to users and its good use cases. Also, we need to work on improving the deniability definition to prevent false sense of security. And with that, I would like to wrap up my presentation and invite your questions.